Good morning for you guys.
Hello.
Where are you guys at now?
Lots of things changing here by the minute.
Yeah, we're currently at the
Dominican
Dominican
Republic.
Republic.
Let's say this isn't New York or Toronto or anything like that.
Yep.
I just see palm trees in the background. What are you doing in the Dominican Republic?
Surfing.
Yeah, we took a little detour.
Yeah, bring me up to speed.
We were in Toronto and in Vancouver, not Vancouver, Montreal, and then the war began, and we didn't know what to do. We felt that it's wrong to continue on with what we're doing. We wanted to do something related to the situation, to Israel, somehow. And then we found stories about people in Canada that are leaving their comfortable, easy life in Canada and going to Israel, whether if it's to volunteer in the hospital or joining the military. So we started documenting them and made a few videos. One of them was sold to the Israeli Public Broadcasting Station. So that's one thing that happened.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then we've been sent to New York.
Yeah, like even before then. So like right after it happened, we decided to postpone our flights to Belize and stay longer in Canada and see what we can do to help out from there and what content we can create there. And then as stuff started to evolve, we were invited to come to New York, do a fundraiser. And the day after we held the fundraiser, somehow someone contacted us and invited us over to their penthouse in Western New York on the beachfront. Julia Hart is her name.
You know her?
I do not.
She has some Netflix a reality show, and she wants to use her exposure and basically use her audience. She wants to expose Israel in a different light to her millions of audience around the world who are not necessarily Jewish or Israeli. And she approached us so that we might have the guts to go with her to Israel and film for a week. And she wants to go like straight into the war zone and like and not even willing to take any responsibility. So we're on our own, and then hopefully we can sell it after or whatever. It's like really like troubled grounds, kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of weird situation because citizens can't take responsibility. So they say, okay, you can go film. They will fund all of our travel expenses, but they're not paying for the material. They're not prepaying for the footage. They will buy after. So
yeah, they don't want to take the risk.
Yeah. So
God, if something happens to one of us or to her or something,
yeah.
They can say, nope, we didn't pay for this. We didn't, they didn't put you in harm's way. So they want to keep their hands clean.
Yeah. So for us, it's like, okay, they are paying for us for a trip home. And like, we know Israel. We know that even wartime, it's unsafe, but it's not like going to Ukraine. Okay. We know it's our home ground.
Yeah.
We're not afraid going back to Israel for a week or two.
So then we said, if we're going in 2 weeks back home, we gotta at least, take a taste of our honeymoon and get some surfing on the beach and get some sun and come home nice and tanned. So
wow,
we've been working from here for the last couple of weeks, and we've been researching for the show. And we have a few others on the way that we need to get them finished.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a speed update
Yeah.
overall.
And before that, we made our homework.
Good.
Yeah.
Actually,
And
two things. We also made the homework, which Yahed will share about now. One last update was the day before we flew back, the day before we flew here, we did a second day of filming with a Canadian based company called Geosource, which do geothermal drilling. And they basically are like the biggest company in Canada, or the largest, or something like that. And they do projects all over Northern America, mostly, where they drill over 100 meters down deep and basically cool towers.
They use the heat, the temperature of the ground to balance
the heat above ground.
Right, like go into the buildings, take the heat out of heat the buildings, or kind of balance it with them.
Whether it's
I've seen
or heating, depending on the time of year.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff in I think it was Sweden maybe, where they were talking about maybe doing that, where they can use the geothermal to heat and cool the buildings. And there's really cool things. One was the idea of using a factory, right? Because factories output so much heat. And so how do you take the heat from a factory and then pump it into residential buildings to heat the buildings rather than having the carbon footprint of the buildings heating themselves, right? So really cool ideas like that. It's interesting. As soon as the war broke out, my first thought was the two of you are going back to Israel. That was my first thing that came to my mind. Given your backgrounds, I'm like, how could you not, right? Like, you're both well equipped to tell that story, and so it's like, if I had to put poker chips, I'd be like going back to Israel. That's where all my poker chips are. So, how do you feel about this project? I mean, you set out to go, kind of talk about entrepreneurs and impact there. But now there's here you just started that journey and now the shift. So how are you feeling about all of this?
You want to answer or I'll answer?
We can both answer. Maybe I'll start and you'll fill in. Okay. So with everything that started, it was really a roller coaster of emotions. Like part of the reason we left Israel was not only to go on this mission of documenting the entrepreneurs, it was also about stepping away from constant staying in a conflict situation. We feel, or at least I think I can say for both of us, we really feel that it impacts our minds and day-to-day feelings while constantly being surrounded by conflict. So part of the reason of leaving was about that. And so when the conflict happened, like it kind of like dragged us back in, knocking on our back door and saying, you're trying to leave, but no, here I
You're not going anywhere. Here you come on.
Exactly. So we kind of like, we were, for the first couple of weeks, we were really like pulled down in a way, feeling wise, and we had to comfort our friends and families and have our hearts and minds with them. But slowly we moved on, thinking like we did come here for a reason of spreading good and trying to make the world a better place. And now is more than ever. So we can go to Israel and show like, here is more conflict, more wars, and look for stories like that. Or we can stay on this side of the globe and try to show the positive stuff that are happening regarding the war, regarding the conflict. Like, what are the angles that we can bring that better fit the agenda or our emotional feelings that we want to portray?
Yeah, like and also like I don't remember in what stage were we when we were speaking to you about the Toronto municipality, our relationship with the Toronto municipality.
I think it was before. I don't even think we shared about it.
Okay,
no.
So we went to Elevate Festival, which is a high-tech industry festival, like with a lot of startups and stuff like that. And we met this guy from the Toronto municipality. He's in charge of the environmental department. And we met him and we told him about what we're doing. And then a few days later, oh, the day we came back from Montreal, we went to his office and we were speaking to him like, I don't know, 2.5 hours. He was telling us all of the projects of Toronto, how to make it a carbon, to reduce the carbon footprint of
The
Toronto.
carbon neutral kind of effort.
Yes.
By like
Yeah.
2040, 35, something like that.
Mhm.
And then he put us in contact with this geothermal company because they work with them a lot on all new neighborhoods that are being built. And he put us in contact with Mars. Do you know Mars?
They are like the big hub for startups in Toronto, like the biggest.
No.
So he introduced us to a lot of amazing companies that are doing amazing stuff. And then we had 2 filming days with these companies, and we said, like, this is time to spread good in the world. If it's related to Israel, if it's not related to Israel, we want to spread good.
Yeah.
And then we met this woman, this Julia Hart. I never heard of her before, but apparently she has like millions of followers and she's a mega celebrity. I didn't know who were, but whatever.
I have to go look her up.
And when
It starts with double A.
Yeah.
2 A's? Okay.
Yeah. And when I'm looking back on our goals and what we were trying to achieve, although it's a bit different, it's still the same. It's like a bit of a different road, but it's taking us to the same
path.
Same goal, same destiny.
Same goal.
Same outcome.
Yeah.
Even with Julia, like what she wants to do in Israel is approaching everything from a positive aspect, which really is up our alley.
We got some offers to go to Israel or to edit from here, like the horror stories. And we said no, we can't spread, like, it's important for the world to know what Hamas is doing and how horrible it is, but for us,
our souls are too gentle for that. We really left because of that. It really is like, I don't know if you've seen anything, but if you see one thing, that's it. Your dreams are like changed for the next few months. Your dreams are like,
I've seen enough worse stories over my life of what people have done to other people, and it's one of those things where I know what's going on, I can feel it, but I don't need to see it. It's not going to change anything. It's just going to drag me down to see it, but I can still understand what happened. I just don't need to actually see it.
Yes.
But I also think there's ample people that are going to cover that angle, right? So you're coming in with a different lens, a different angle to tell the story.
It's like, when people are talking about the climate change, it's exactly the same. People are like, most of the content that we see, it's the world is going to an end, we're going to die, it's horrible. And we try to tell a different story, like the positives.
Do you want to see our homework?
Yeah, I would like to see it, but before we go, I know you guys are excited. Before we go there, it's interesting you're saying that angle, because I saw a documentary a few weeks ago on a flight back from London, and it was called Eating Ourselves to Extinction. And very well done documentary. Have you seen it?
I've seen like a bit of here, a bit of there. I haven't seen the actual film yet.
It's a well done documentary. It fits with what I know from environmental sciences in college. And I got done the documentary, and I just had this pervasive feeling of like, ugh, right? Like I'm like, what do we do? And it didn't really leave you with, here's what we can do. And I think I think what ends up happening is we get so overloaded by like the heaviness of the world that people just kind of throw their hands up, and they're just like, I can't do anything about it. And then then they become apathetic to it, because they're like, I can't do anything about it. I can't see it. I just got to worry about me and myself and my own thing. And I can't keep looking at these problems. And think there's a way you can tell a story and you can say, oh, but these are the things that you can do to change it. These are the things that you can tie to for hope. And I think just too many of the stories that are out there. Great documentary, and I mean it was one of those things where after watching it, I really racked my brain. I'm like, how can how can I how can I think about this different? And I really couldn't find an angle. And I'm like, now I don't know if that documentary helped me in terms of my approach towards climate change, because it made me feel less empowered, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so I'm excited for you guys. I'm also hoping everything goes okay here. You know, you're going back into essentially a war zone, but I mean, if you're going in via the Israeli side, they seem to have control over the situation largely.
Yeah. And also, again, we're going for a week, maybe two, and then moving on with our journey.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about what you guys are doing too is you're following serendipity, right? Like something just happened, you end up at this fundraiser, you meet this woman, you end up back in Israel. Like, who knows how that's going to play out long term? But you're following it because it seems like the right thing to do. And I think that's awesome. You have some courage to follow that. All right, so homework. What have you guys got? What did you learn from the homework?
What have we learned from the homework? So,
I would say the first thing we learned is that we have a lot of jobs. Like this is only the positions, jobs in the company. So
Yeah, yeah.
we have like, I don't know, what are they, like 15 over here at least, and that currently are just between the two of us.
Yep.
but also,
And we also
I think
wrote down like our future, what's it called, plans.
Yep.
We're closing the door. Okay.
the 10-year plan, 5-year plan, 1-year plan. We started with why did we left to this journey? Why are we doing it? And I think that was very important for us because in certain point we were like all over the place. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. And then we said, okay, let's regroup and remind ourselves, why are we here? What do we want to achieve? Why did we set off on this journey? And then when the war began and all these business opportunities came up, it really helped us to stay focused on our goal, which is spreading good in the world, which is traveling, making money, establish ourselves as global filmmakers and not only Israelis. Absolutely. And then when an offer came, which didn't check enough,
that didn't check enough of those boxes, tick enough boxes,
we said no.
Good. I love that you did that because that's going to help you make decisions quicker, right? That you have some kind of North Star that you're pointing to, and then you got your criteria for what that means. And if you don't have that, you end up taking another path that's going to lead you away from where you want to go.
Yeah.
We hear you differently.
Something happened to your mic.
We hear you well, just differently.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have that North Star. So now you have criteria that you can stay on track. And I like the fact that now both of you understand what that is and you're both in agreement so that both of you can make decisions to stay prioritized to that. What else did you learn?
I also want to leave time, also, if we can, to talk about things that we still struggle with.
Okay, yeah.
We also like wrote down like goals for 1 year from now, 2 years from now. And so it's like we took that Northern Star that you said and then tried to break it down to mid goals.
Yes.
Midterm goals. And some of them like are also like stars, I would say, stars on the way. Like we won't necessarily achieve them, but it's something that we're saying this is what we would like to achieve, and hopefully we will. But I guess that's also helping us kind of like understand what we should try to achieve as a couple and as partners.
If you guys ever used Mural before?
No.
Mural? If I were to give you a link to Mural, what it does is it's almost like a whiteboard, right? With Post-it notes all over it. I like to use that to collaborate with people that are not physically here with me. And so if you guys could take what you have and put that into mural, and then we can pull up a board and then we can collaborate with it. So I could see your goals and I can give you feedback on the goals, like how can we make the goals better? How do we think about breaking the goals down? How does it align with your North Star that you're kind of painting out here? And then like also we'll get into, we're not there yet, but we'll get into things like the metrics. What are the metrics that are telling us that we're on course or we're off course? And so we'll get into some of that. So are you guys open to me sending you a mural link for you to put this stuff in a mural?
Yeah,
Definitely.
sure.
Whatever can organize us, we're with you.
Yeah, instead of all
Yeah, and it's good because I can then see it, I can read it, we can work as if we're in an office together and we're moving things around. I also want to see, the 15 different jobs that you guys have listed out on there, putting that into mural to see, okay, and then I can ask some questions. Well, what about this? Or how are you thinking about that? When you did the 15 jobs and you laid them all out there, what were the conversations that came up as a result of that?
We were trying to figure out our strengths and weaknesses of each other. And also what we like to do more, what we like less.
Yeah, and then my ADHD started and I was like, okay, that's enough. I can't. It was like a few hours of, so this is where we stopped, and this is, I think, also what we struggled the most, because in our minds we know the strengths and weaknesses of each other and what we like to do, what we don't like to do. But I think that most of our like struggles or disagreements is who is doing what, who is in charge of what. And I think we do need help with that.
Yes, and okay, so I got things I'm going to be sending over your way. So for one, I'll send you the mural link. The next thing I'm going to send you to is a behavioral assessment. And so have you guys ever done disc profiles before?
What?
No?
Ever heard of a disc profile?
Disc?
Yeah, DISC. So there's disc profile, driving forces, and EQ, emotional intelligence, right?
Okay.
I'll give you an assessment on these three things. The one thing's going to tell me the disc is how you see the world in terms of like how do you navigate the world? If you think of the world as a compass, which cardinal direction have you picked in order to walk the world, right? So that's what the disc is going to tell me, kind of how you see the world. The driving forces are going to tell me what motivates you. So with that, that's going to help me point you towards things that maybe you could go do this particular thing because that's a motivating factor if we frame it a certain way. And also what's not going to motivate you. And then lastly, your EQ, your emotional intelligence, the ability to work on the things sometimes that you don't want to work on and be clear about how you're showing up based on your emotional level. You both strike me as having very high emotional intelligence. So I'm not going to be, I don't think I'll have any surprises there, but I'll send you the link to do it's called a TTI test. And if you guys can fill that out, then what we'll do is I'll brief each of you individually. So we'll set up another call and I'll go with each of you. It's about a 45-minute hour call where we'll debrief it. And I'll say, does this accurately take a snapshot of you? It's never going to tell me everything about you. It's going to tell me an angle of this, an angle here, an angle there. And that's it. But it gives me an idea of if you're both on this angle, how do you relate? If you're on this angle, how do you relate? And so give me some better ideas in terms of helping to guide you in the right direction there. The other exercise that I'll have you do, and it sounds like you kind of started to do it. What are the things I like? What are the things I dislike? Well, I'm going to get a little more granular than that. The exercise is called love, loathe, and indifferent. So what are the things you love to do? What are the things you hate to do, right? Not dislike, but actually hate to do. And in the middle, what's indifferent? Because we can do the things that we're indifferent to, but ultimately we want to be doing the things we love doing. So if we break that out and I can see kind of a Venn diagram and I can see the two of you are on this area, what are the things that are indifferent for the both of you? Those would be the things that we want to take and give to somebody else, because neither of you is really wanting to work on those things, but somebody else might be better equipped to that. The same with the loathe. If there's any overlap between the things you loathe doing, then let's go find somebody else to do that, because we want your energy going towards the things you love doing. Make sense?
I like that thinking. Definitely.
Yeah.
We actually
Yeah.
did that the other week. I won't stop your flow.
No, go ahead. You started doing that?
Yeah, when we were in New York, so we thought about how, we're getting to see the entire world, but yet here we are sitting in a hotel working 24 hours out of the lobby, not even like in our pajamas. And we're like,
Right.
this is not really what we want to do. And Yahel was on the computer editing and she was very frustrated. Like, I don't want to sit in a hotel all day and New York, we're here,
Right.
And it was at that point where we said, okay, let's find an editor to do this project. And even though we can't pay him, we'll pay him and we'll figure out the money after, but we just got to get this off our hands.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And there might be someone who's willing to help you, given the type of work you're doing, might contribute their time to assist you as well on this.
people in Israel, I've just got off a call
Yeah.
with a friend, a joint friend of ours, filmmaker. He said he hasn't worked a day in the last 2 months.
Oh
So
my gosh.
ask our guys, like our good friends who would normally say in a heartbeat, they would say, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. I don't feel comfortable asking for any favors because,
Yeah.
I'm even saving money by being here in Dominican Republic that is half price than Israel.
And also at the big, like a lot of people volunteer. And at the beginning, it was like a thing in Israel. Everyone went to volunteer because the government, whatever. And then it became like all kind of organizations and companies were looking for people to volunteer. And then at certain point, people say, okay, I had enough of volunteering. I need to work. I need money. I can't volunteer. Like, what's going on? And people started to get mad. And when I talked to my friends, they were like, I volunteered enough. I made like a lot of videos for free, and now I need to be paid. And I totally get that.
What strikes me with that, though, when I was saying about volunteering, the examples you guys pointed back to me were your colleagues in Israel and getting volunteer help from them. I'm wondering if that would be the same attitude for people outside of Israel, editors in the United States, Canada, other areas that see what's going on over there.
Actually,
that's actually a
that's
good
a good idea.
We're just not as familiar of how to reach them, but I guess it shouldn't be that complicated, giving Facebook and Instagram and, having the world at our feet.
Yeah.
It's also like really short. It really isn't like, we're not asking for months of volunteer work. It's like a few hours. Yeah.
And that's the thing. You guys know this work. You've done it before. So you could say this is probably 4 hours of editing time or 20 hours of editing time. And the person who would volunteer for that would say, yeah, I'll sign up for that. When people volunteer for things and they don't know exactly how much time they're volunteering, that's where you get the hesitancy. Like, what am I saying? 100 of my hours? I'm not willing to do that, right? So it's just a matter of setting the context. Side question I thought of too. I haven't ever seen a website talking about what you guys are doing, talking about like the project and why you're doing this and the cause behind that. Is there anything out there?
No, we did buy the domain. So we do own the domain iOurFuture.com, but we haven't done anything with it yet.
Like, I have a website of my
that's just like your personal business website.
Yeah, right.
It's not like the project website.
Yeah, because I would love to be able to point people to you guys and say, hey, here's this couple of what they're doing. I would love you guys to take a look and see how you can support them in their effort. Go read their story, go read what their mission is, and is there anybody out there that can support them? Right? Because right now I would have to write up a pretty long email and it wouldn't be as good as the two of you writing that story.
Right.
and
That's our
giving your
next mission.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
so
That's definitely our next homework.
yeah
Yeah.
single page, just a single page, kind of outlining all of it.
okay. We can do that.
Yeah, we definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because that'll help kind of raise awareness, get people focused at what you're doing, and we can ask for help, around, and then I can share that out. And I'm sure you guys have a network of plenty of people that could share that out to kind of raise awareness of the story overall.
You are right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where else are you struggling with? I know you said there's some areas that you're still struggling. Where's that at?
So I think what, like for me, is in terms of roles and responsibilities of each of us in the company, because like now we're going to Israel to film this big thing with new production. It's a great opportunity, but I think it brings also a lot of tension because it is big, and like we both want to be, the I don't know, because I'm used to working to be the like to lead,
Mhm.
and I have people that work for me, and Tomer also, he is used to work like on his own, and now we both like try to be the head, and it's
Yeah. Like I'm really used to really like I see something that needs to get done, so I'll just like do it and move on. And Yahel is very good at micromanaging and
לא micromanaging.
micromanaging.
No, micromanaging is נורא. It's bad.
Really?
Yeah,
Because
micromanaging.
micromanaging has a bad.
Managing has a negative term. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't mean that. I meant like managing, but I don't mean it like on a like.
He's more detail oriented.
Yeah, like this. You do that. You do that. You putting everything in place, like not in a bad way, in a managing way, like seeing like the picture and giving the right.
Sure. Commanding.
Spreading the roles among a team. And then I guess I used to do that more further back. And then in the last 7 years working where I worked before, there was so much to be done with such little staff that I felt that if I would rely on entire staff to do stuff, it just wouldn't get done. And if I would just take the role on my own, I could get stuff done.
Which
Proved itself.
Yeah.
And that's how I worked for the past 7 years, and it really did prove itself. And
it's also related to other things in your past life.
Yeah, it could also like I'm ex-military, and my way of doing things is like I was in a sniping squad. Like the way we work in a team, but there are certain things that you just have to know how to do on your own and not wait for orders, just to take initiative and go do them. And it's like also you're trusting your peers, like that they know what you're doing and you know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Without even talking about it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is something that I'm in a way like used to also to some extent, like in my filmmaking. Like even when I was filming my show, I would bring on a guy who was also an ex-military, and when we were filming together, we would never even speak because we just knew that like I'm filming here, he sees it, he already knows he's going there, and like there's a certain kind of
yeah, but it's not only like, I think on set we are good. Like on set, I see, because we both understand that if you are filming from here, I can't stand here.
Yeah.
So we do manage that good, and our communication on set is good, but the pre-production, it's like, in the military, it took 3 years for you and your team to
Yeah,
Yeah.
form that kind of synergy where everybody knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
For us, when we're igniting a new project, if I can continue what you're saying, and igniting this new project, so we have different ways of how to approach it. Like, for instance, yesterday we got into a fight where, like, I woke up in the morning and started like attacking like the missions, like we have to do this and this and this, and Yael very much want to stop for a second and let's really stop for a second and decide who's doing what and how are we approaching this. And I was really in the midst of just like
Let's get it done.
yeah, let's get it done. Let's like check off boxes. And so I think it's not very much about roles, because we would both, I guess, be doing the same roles. It's about how to communicate better. Like, because I'm assuming that like we would both do what we ended up doing anyway, but we would just talk about it before. We wouldn't even be getting into a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we'll see when I do the assessment, the behavioral assessment. So what might be coming up? In one of the behavioral assessments, we take a look at things of various values. You have 12 different values. One of them is this value of urgency, right? So if one of you has a high level of urgency and the other one is not sharing that same level of urgency, what ends up happening is you start taking action, you start doing things because you see it as this needs to get done. I see value in doing it. I'm just going to get it done. But if one of you has a lower value of urgency, then you're looking at other areas that are higher values. And so when somebody takes something and runs with it, it's going to stress out the other because the other doesn't share that same value of urgency. Now, if you both have a high value of urgency, then what ends up happening is you look at it and say, oh, well, you're running with that. I get it. I get why you're running with it. I'm going to go run with this thing. But then the other problem comes up is that you both end up running in different directions because each of you found something that's super important, has to be done now, and you go out in separate areas. And so this is where the EQ comes in, because if you have a high value of urgency, and I'm speaking from this by experience because I have a value of urgency that is higher than 99% of the population. So I kind of can speak to this to a degree. It's this knowledge of before I start something to slow down and consider, does anybody else need to have input on this? Would anybody else like to have input on this? Is this the thing right now that is actually going to produce the best ROI for the goals that we're working on? Or is it something that's just bugging me and I want done, right? So looking at it and saying, okay, I got project A, B, and C. If I got 8 hours to apply to which of these projects, which one's going to produce the most value for the company? Well, I'm going to pick this one because I think it's the most value. And now I apply my urgency to that. I'm going to just run with this thing because I see it needs to get done. And clearly everybody else should see that it needs to get done. And it's like, no, not so clear, because if you're running at a level that 99% of the population does not agree with it, then in my world, because what we end up doing is with our behavioral assessments, we see the world through our own eyes. And so we expect everybody else is seeing the world the same way. And we get into conflicts because we're projecting our view of the world onto the other people. And we're like, this is the most important thing to do. And the other person's like, no, it's not, right? And so then you create argument. So when we can understand that our value system, if it's way out of line for the main population, then it is both a blessing and a curse, in the sense of having something that's way outside the norms allows you to move quicker and think quicker and act quicker than everybody else, which can be a blessing. But the curse is you might have tried to do it too fast and you're going to stress everybody else out in the process. So these things come at a price, and we just have to be aware of the price that we're paying for different values that we're holding. And so that's where that assessment I think will give us some insight into where you guys match and where you guys may conflict.
So it's also a couple therapy.
Yeah. I'm not a therapist, but you know, the nice part is it just lets us do a deeper understanding of each other, allows us to model ourselves and say, I see why I'm stressing you out. I mean, case in point, my girlfriend is very high, with a very high value for her is called harmonious. So harmonious means that you're really all about the experience. What is it like to work with me? What is the environment I'm working in? I want it to be beautiful. I want to like the people I work with. I want to enjoy the things that I'm doing. And there's less of an emphasis on, did I get anything meaningful done? Was this the right thing to be working on? There's less of that. And I think it's very much more like a European mindset. You know, do I like everybody? Is work fun? Like, is it flowing? And then the opposite of that is where I'm at, is mostly the functional. Is this thing done? Did it get done? Do I have the tools to get it done? I don't really care too much about the surroundings as I do about the thing getting done. And so when you have those two types of behaviors, they bump heads a little bit. Because on one side, it's like, I can just get it done. The other side is, no, it's not the right time yet. I don't feel like I should go do that right now. So it ends up creating conflict, and that's why it's nice to kind of see that. So we have some homework. You said the website. I'll send out the behavioral assessment. You guys were already starting on the love, loathe, and different exercise, and then I'll send you the mural link. I'll get those links all out to you right away, and then when you take the assessment, I'll see when the assessment comes through, and I'll send you a link to go schedule an hour with me. And again, we'll just do that one-on-one just to make sure that the assessment is reflective of how you see yourself. And we'll go from there.
Thank you. Wow.
Amazing.
That was fascinating conversation, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like these talks.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy talking to you guys. So let's get the next time we talk, though, the next time the three of us get on, what's your calendar look like so we get something booked?
Let's say from the 27th, from there on, we'll find
I'm
time.
not sure. We're gonna film a documentary reality show. We're probably gonna be 24 hours with our camera with this woman. I don't know when we're gonna find time to do this. And I really wanted, take time to doing it.
So from December 1st?
Yes.
Okay. From December 1st on?
My birthday is the 1st, so I'll be taking off that day. My Mondays, I leave wide open. So do you want to pick a time on Monday and then we'll jump on?
Sure.
Yeah.
Anytime. Like,
yeah, we don't know.
We don't know where we will be in the world.
I think that depends.
By then we have to have also done the individuals.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. As for uploading, I'm thinking we should start.
Yeah, I think we need to upload this. This is like fascinating. I think people will.
Yeah, I think we'll do from the moment we hit record until we started trying to schedule. I guess we'll just do in, out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, send me a link when you do. I'll be curious.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Awesome talking to you. Be safe in Israel, and we'll chat when you get back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.